Okay. Good morning. Welcome to the August 8th County Board meeting. Would you please join me in a pledge of allegiance and a moment of silence?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Open forum. Is there anyone in the audience who has something to speak about that isn't on the agenda? Seeing no one, review and approval of the minutes from the July 25th County Board meeting.
Motion to approve.
Motion by Commissioner Coring, second by Commissioner Hoag. Is there any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Review and approve of the agenda.
Madam Chair, we're going to pull item number 6 off of your agenda, the public health nuisance abatement. It is my understanding the property has been sold, and so we will work with the new owner.
Okay. Is there any other?
Madam Chair, with that change, I would make the motion to approve the agenda.
Second.
Okay. Motion by Commissioner Barrows, second by Commissioner Coring. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Consent agenda.
Madam Chair, I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Lubke, second by Commissioner Coring. Is there any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Land Services. Good morning.
Good morning. Morning. Today, we have 3 items on the agenda, 2 land use map amendments, and 1 final plat for your consideration. The first item on the agenda is for a Lawrence and Colleen Hulseth. This is a parcel located in Section 17 of Maple Grove Township. Parcel number is 76170-524. The request is to rezone from our agricultural forested district to rural residential 20. If we take a look at the map, here's the parcel in question here, and then you see that we've got shown district here. The areas in blue are the R5. The areas in green would be the Ag District, and then this would be public land over on that side over there. And so the request is just to basically be able to be able to split that into 2 20-acre parcels. The Planning Commission did have a public hearing on this at their meeting on July 20th, and they recommend approval of the land use map amendment as presented with the finding of fact as stated. Staff has also reviewed the application and findings and concur with the Planning Commission and recommends approval as well. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Any questions for Chris? Do we have a motion?
Madam Chair, if there's no discussion, I would make the motion to approve.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Barrows, second by Commissioner Hoag. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you. The second item we have on the agenda is for is another land use map amendment. Is for Timothy Hagelin as part of a trust. This is the parcel in question is located in Section 21 of Oaklawn Township. Parcel number is 76170-524. The request here is to amend the map, the land use map from RR10, which is our rural residential 10 district, to a rural residential 5. Again, if we look at the zoning, what we've got here, this is our RR1 district, so these are 1 acre density, and that's just because of the proximity to town. And then this is commercial 1 zoning here. The area that's in this tan color would be the R10. This is R5, and this is 2.5, and then this is also public land in this area here. So the request is to change that from 10 acre density down to a 5 acre density. The Planning Commission did hold a public hearing on this on July 20th of 2023. And the Planning Commission did unanimously recommend approval of the land use map amendment as presented with the finding of fact as stated. Staff has reviewed the application and findings and concurs with the Planning Commission and recommends approval as well. Be happy to answer any questions.
Madam Chair, just a question. Where, I'm trying to figure out in relation to Highway 18, or I guess I can't figure out where this
Grace,
is
can
at.
we back out? There should be another map that's zoomed out a little bit further. I think it's the one right there. Yep. So here we've got, here's Highway 25 heading south, and then this is 210 here. And so then this is where that parcel, this is like when you come off of 25, this, you got the Red Pine Road here. And then, and so that's where this parcel is located.
Where's the state hospital land then?
Right here.
I guess I can't, is it just to the east of that or west of that?
A little bit, yeah. A little
Oh,
bit
now
to-
I can see your red mark, okay.
Yeah, yeah, a little bit to north and to the east of that right there.
Okay. And the brown, Madam Chair, and the dark brown is how many?
1 acre density.
1 acre density.
Yeah, we have that land use map district around adjacent to our cities for that 1 acre density.
And then, Madam Chair, Chris, can you just, so the yellow is what density? And blue-
2.5,
And then blue,
5, and the tan is 10.
10.
And then that green over in this area here gets us back into that ag forested district.
Okay,
Yeah.
perfect.
And the purple is commercial 1, and then this pink area here would be actually commercial 2.
Madam Chair, if there's no discussion, I'll make the motion to approve.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Barrows, second by Commissioner Coring. Is there any more discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you. Last item we have on the agenda today is for a John M. and Bernadine Job. It's for the final plat of Half Moon Acres. This did go to the Planning Commission back on May 18th, which they recommended the county board to adopt or to approve the preliminary plat as presented, which happened at the county board meeting on June 13th. And so what we have today is to approve the final plat of Half Moon Acres. This is located in section 23 of Lake Edward Township. The parcel number in question is 73230566. It does have an address of 11496 Half Moon Drive, and this is up in the Merrifield area. This is a 2-lot plat on Lake Edward. Staff has reviewed the application and all the ordinance requirements, and all ordinance requirements are met, and that staff recommends approval. So this is, again, Half Moon Road here, and then there's gonna be 2 lots, one here, and then there's gonna be a lot that comes up and goes down, and then it's got this riparian piece on Lake Edward. So as was approved for the preliminary plat, the property with the house on it will remain separate. It does not have access to Lake Edward. It'll just be the lot to the south. And this does not have any issues with needing a road built because they'll be coming right off of the road, so they'll just be building a driveway to get back and access to the lot.
Yeah, it does talk about a 33-foot road, but it would never be a county road anyway.
No, it would be, at best case, it'd be Lake Edward Township, but it'll never be a road. It'll always be
Yeah.
just a driveway. It'll just serve one home.
Okay.
Madam Chair, if there's no further discussion, I will make the motion to approve.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Barrows, second by Commissioner Coring. Any more discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Chris.
Transportation gets taller and taller every time we look out there.
Morning.
Good morning, Madam Chair and Commissioners. I'm Tim Bray, a Crow Wing County engineer, and we have today with us the transportation planner, Matt Kelrus. I think most of you have met him. And this is his first time, I believe, in the hot seat.
Yes, it is.
So, we have 2 items for you today, both of them having to do with grants. I'll start with the first one, and then Matt will move into the one where we are actually the applicant. The first one I want to start with, we're actually, in your board packet, you saw a letter and a resolution of support for MnDOT's efforts to seek a federal grant to help fund the reconstruction of Washington Street. So over the last couple of years, the partners of Brainerd Baxter, or not, maybe Baxter a little bit, but primarily Brainerd and MnDOT have been working through the preliminary design, public outreach for the reconstruction of Washington Street from the Baxter city limits, essentially out to where the 4-lane stops east of Brainerd on the way out to the highway department. And they've worked through that. They have a community supported plan. They're moving into final design, the detailed design, and they're on track for 26 construction, I believe, 2026 construction. And so it's customary, we're looking, like the county is looking for other funding sources beyond the traditional ones. They are also seeking federal funds to defray their costs. And it actually has a benefit to Crow Wing County because we have 2 intersections where we will cost participate in those. It's County Road 3 at the East Brainerd Mall, where a roundabout is scheduled to go in, and then also at County Road 45, which, if you've been through there, is a challenge because of the intersection very tight and a lot of industrial traffic headed down south towards the fairgrounds and the industrial park. So back in February, you approved a letter of support and a resolution of support for a similar federal grant. It was called the RAISE grant, and it's an acronym. It's in your packet. It's Rebuilding American Infrastructure and Sustainability and Equity, RAISE, R-A-I-S-E. This one is a different acronym, and it's a little simpler. It's called Multimodal Project Discretionary Grant. Both are being well, let me back up. The RAISE grant was submitted after you provided support. They were unsuccessful. They did compete well, but it did not receive funding, so they are diversifying and now asking for that same $25 million in a federal grant called the Multimodal Project Discretionary Grant. It is competitive, so when we or you provide support through letters and resolutions, it helps in the scoring process. It's a national-wide competition, so the more support provided by the locals, the more likely it is to get funded. And so in your packet, you have that letter. It's again written to the Secretary of Transportation, Secretary Buttigieg. And I ask for your approval. I recommend that we move forward with this. It helps both MnDOT, our partner at MnDOT, and then also us if they are successful in defraying our costs associated with it. I'll be happy to answer any questions.
If there are no questions, does someone want to make the motion?
I'll make the motion to approve.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Barrows, second by Commissioner Coring. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you. The next one, I'm going to turn it over to Matt, and it's a project that we've been working on for a couple of years, and we're going to be the grant applicant for this one, so I'll turn it over to Matt.
Thanks, Tim. Good morning, everyone. So in your board packet, there's a resolution to apply for the Rural and Tribal Assistance Pilot Program, and so this was created by the Bipartisan Infrastructure Law. This is the first year that this has been made available, and there's $3.4 million available. And that's kind of split between rural and tribal, with tribal getting at least half of those funds. So it's highly competitive. It's a nationwide grant, but the kicker is there's no match required. So there'll probably be a lot of people applying for this. But then the other kind of different part from other grants is it's a first come, first serve. So on August 14th at 1 p.m., this is going to open, and there's going to be an influx of people. And whoever gets there kind of first, all these grants are going to get time-stamped of when they're sent in. And so if you're towards the top, they're not really scored. It's just if you check the box of all of our requirements, you will get funded. And so it's really unique. That's the first year. With our number coming in at about $100,000 that we're asking for, that's on the lower side. The max someone can ask for is $350,000. So we'll see if things trickle down or how quickly we can get it in, if we'll get funded. But then within that, when Tim and I saw this opportunity come through, just on an email through the U.S. Department of Transportation, we thought it'd be a great fit for a feasibility study in front of Eagle View Elementary School. in Breezy Point on CASA 11. And a lot of that kind of spurted from a Safe Routes to School plan was recently done that both Tim and I were a part of. We saw the issues firsthand. There's been new leadership at the school with a new superintendent. He's very proactive in what he wants to do. And the Safe Routes to School plan really opened his eyes on the possibilities that can be made. And so they've been on board. There's a letter of support in the packet as well, I believe. And the schools also, they have a bonding coming up, and there's about $9 million in safety improvements that they have, not just for this intersection, but across the school. But this intersection is specifically mentioned in that $9 million that they'll spread out. So that'll get voted on in November. So for them, committing funds to this it goes really well with this as well. There's a good track to make these improvements, but that first step is getting this plan done so we know what we want to construct, and then getting the funds for construction will be easier having a nice plan like this done. But yeah, we're asking for your approval on this, and if there's any questions that I can answer.
So, Madam Chair, if I could ask a question. So is this a federal dollars?
Correct.
And then you said a time step. So I can visualize you either sitting right by to be able to hit send, or you're standing in line and Renee Richardson is standing there with a big stamp, and you hand it to her and she goes like that. So how does it work? I mean, how do you know that you're going to be in line first?
So it's everything's electronic.
Okay.
But the other kind of stressful part is there's just a PDF version of the application currently. So once it opens, I'm gonna have to autofill everything, copy and paste from what I have now, throw it in there, and then you email it to the gentleman. So you'll see your specific time. They shoot you back a confirmation that they received it. So it's pretty weird, honestly.
So you're going to be poised to...
Yes,
Okay.
at 12:59:59, I will be sitting there.
It'll probably be as competitive as getting Taylor Swift tickets.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what we're anticipating. So Matt is going to be on the ready.
Yeah, I'm a Swiftie, so.
We're depending on you.
Madam Chair, that was my question, and I want to know what your strategy was going to be, but there's also a time zone consideration here too, isn't it? Because the application is going to DC,
Yeah,
so we're,
it's 1 PM our time, I know that, so.
so you got to be even quicker. 12:50, or what is it, 11:59 their time.
Yep,
Not
I'll
our
double
time,
check
so.
the time zone.
So I would suggest that you
That would
talk
be bad.
with Jason over at IT to make sure there isn't some quicker way to have that form ready to go. Pack it in and copy and paste at the last minute there, so.
Yep,
Anyway,
Madam Chair, we've been talking about this intersection, Eagleview Elementary School. We've actually implemented as a team a school zone there. Each of the last 3 or 4 superintendents, I've talked to them about some improvements there. I continue the dialogue with the principal at the elementary school, and have been out there many times observing the traffic. And with more people moving to this area, and they're expanding the elementary school. They feel enrollment's going to go up, and the people dropping off their children is going to increase, and that's really the problem. It backs up. The drop-offs back up onto our highway and cause a safety problem. And so although this grant is new, the notion of us engaging in a project that improves the area, including roundabout intersections and other opportunities, have been talked about for a long time, at least 10 years, I saw. And when we saw this opportunity to engage on a topic that's fresh with Safe Routes to School, and now a possible school referendum, including some study dollars for this, we thought it was a good match. And so Matt's on the job for that, and he's poised and ready to apply if you approve.
Madam Chair, if there's no other questions, I would move the county board approve the resolution supporting the application for the Rural and Tribal Assistance Pilot Program.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
I will second.
Motion by Commissioner Coring, second by Commissioner Lepke. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
good job.
thanks.
Okay, next on the agenda is County Sheriff.
Madam Chair, Commissioners, obviously the sheriff couldn't be here today, and I just broke your stand. Yeah, I see that.
You broke it.
The sheriff has asked me to give you an update on what's been going on in the last couple weeks in the sheriff's office. Obviously, everyone is aware we just finished the fair last week. It was a great turnout. Weather was great, except for Tuesday. The rain was a little much on Tuesday, but other than that, the rest of the week was great. Talked to quite a few people out at the fair. Ran into some old friends, ran into some new, got an opportunity to talk to Commissioner Lubke and Commissioner Coring while we were out there, so it was a great time. No real major issues for the sheriff's office, so I call that a success for a fair. With that being said, I want to move to some of the issues that the sheriff is looking into and concerned with. Obviously, drug activity in Crow Wing County is something that's a concern for the sheriff, and it's high on his priority list. If you've been paying attention to our Facebook page, obviously you have witnessed some of the recent events in regards to our related team, that what they've been doing. They've been doing great work. I can't commend them enough in regards to what they've been doing, but recently on the 2nd, or actually on the 1st of August, they made a fairly large drug arrest involving 3.1 pounds of fentanyl, roughly 15,000 pills taken off the street, multiple guns. They're coming from outside of Crow Wing County. Obviously, Detroit is specifically where these are coming from in this particular case. With that being said, we also ran a program along with the State Patrol and many other agencies such as Brainerd Police Department, Baxter Police Department, Nisswa, State Patrol, City of Crosby, Mille Lacs County, BCA. We did a 2-day Tour Zero Death program down on 169 corridor in the area of Garrison. The focus was obviously on drug interdiction. There was quite a few stops that were made out of that. I just want to give you an update of regards to what they did over a period of 2 days. They had over 100 vehicles stopped in that time frame. Of those, 32 were issued citations, 21 were vehicle driver operation issues, child safety restraints. We had 2 of those, 2 minor consumptions, 7 other violations of miscellaneous, but there was a total of 23 people arrested in 2 days. 9 of those were for drugs, 9 of them for warrants, 1 DUI, and once again, 4 other arrests for other issues. Total number of vehicles that were searched were 24, and our K-9 program was deployed 11 times for vehicle searches. It's just part of the campaign the sheriff is trying to push, initiative to crack down on drug activity in Crow Wing County. Obviously, if you've seen, we keep track of what we got going on the Facebook page and what we're doing here with the other units in our commitment to other agencies getting together and trying to work this activity in our area is a high priority to the sheriff, and he just want to make you aware of that. With that, do you have any questions for me?
Madam Chair, just one question. So this was totally on the 169 corridor. This isn't, it was just over and specifically in that area?
Specifically on 169. You know, everyone knows that there is specific corridors for drug activity in Crow Wing County. It's typically that 371 and 169 in Crow Wing County.
Sure.
So that saturation was specific to 169, and all those officers in that working those 2 days stayed in that corridor. We set up a command trailer at the Mille Lacs Tribal Office, and we worked that area from the casino all the way up into Aiken County. Mille Lacs County was also involved in all that. The drug task force from Aiken was also involved in that. So it was an effort of a large group of officers from multiple jurisdictions. So, and that's the sheriff's big key, is he wants to try to work with as many other agencies and build those relationships as much as possible, because we know working together gets the job done quicker, faster, and more efficiently than by ourselves.
Madam Chair, just a comment, Andy, is it's funny how, you know, some of us have been here on the board for a long time, and just in the time that we've been here, to see, and I'm sure you've seen it, you've been here a long, long time, to see the changes in drugs of, I can remember, well, when I was in the legislature, we passed a bill to put that if you wanted to get the cold medicine, the stuff that they made meth with, you'd have to show your driver's license. We passed that bill. And that I think that kind of more or less put the meth labs out of business. I don't think there's any meth labs. Now it seems like the next thing is, it's really not cocaine anymore, maybe it is, but now it's kind of the fentanyl thing that looked like candy. You know, and if you think about it, about 15,000 people in Brainerd, if this sounds kind of stupid, but if those pills were laced and with some bad stuff, that literally could kill the entire population of Brainerd. It's scary.
Correct. That is correct. You don't have to actually ingest a fentanyl pill. You can actually absorb it through your skin, and it's enough to kill you. That's the problem with that type of drug. And they're made outside the United States. They're not made by a pharmaceutical company that specifically makes them in a proper way. They're made in backwoods garages and so forth. There's no consistency with them. And you can have one pill that won't do a thing to you, and the next pill will kill you. You just don't know. It's Russian roulette with pills. Yeah. And you're right. Fentanyl is the main drug of choice right now, and it's what we're seeing the highest amount of influx of drugs. The problem with the fentanyl is it's killing people, and the amount of overdoses we're having is off the chart. Back when I started, we were big into marijuana. It's kind of funny if you think about it today, legalization of marijuana.
Yeah.
And when I started, one of my biggest cases I ever first had was a rookie officer at a 3-pound marijuana drug stop, and I was flying on high because I thought I had one heck of a bust. Nowadays, it's the norm. So where are we going from here? I don't know. But obviously fentanyl is a huge problem because it's the primary drug of choice, and it's one that can kill you. And you just don't know which pill is going to do it.
Madam Chair, if I could ask one more question for Andy. You know, some of these towns you take like Chicago and Detroit and some of these places, this is a family show, so I can't tell you what I think of those places. But why are these bad guys, why are these bad guys coming here? Why are they coming to Brainerd, Minnesota? Why don't they stay in their expletive city?
All I can say is lack of competition.
Okay.
You go to where you have no competition. You don't have to deal with the guy down the street selling the same thing as you. You can come to a rural area, and you are the one and only that has it and can get it. And so you want to go to that. And once that gets saturated, you move to the next place and the next place. So they just discovered Crow Wing County and our surrounding communities as a new influx of place to go to get that out, those drugs out. And as soon as it becomes overwhelming here, then they'll move on. We're hoping that we stop it before they can get started.
Sure.
So,
Well, board, I think I can speak for the board where we certainly appreciate what you guys are doing to stop this stuff before it gets carried away, so.
thank you.
Madam Chair. Andy, now with this is a synthetic opiate, so Narcan works for this
It does for the most part, but believe it or not, they've actually come out with a new fentanyl pill that is not responsible. It doesn't respond to Narcan. So
That's what I was wondering about.
And that's worrisome. So you can give Narcan and it does not stop the effects. Who's making it, where it's coming from, I'm not for certain. It's fairly new. So we were just given a bulletin on that just recently in regards to this new fentanyl that's resistant to Narcan. And what if that becomes a prevalent drug in the area? We've got problems.
Yeah, that's I was kind of familiar with that there was derivatives of it that were resistant to the Narcan, where most opiates were Narcan was a pretty good product to use to help with overdoses.
Correct.
Okay. Thank you.
Yep. That's all I have.
Thank you.
Thank
Thanks,
you very
Commissioner.
much. Is the county attorney on? Yes, he is. County attorney.
Good morning, everyone. How's everybody today?
Doing
Good,
good. How are
Don.
you?
I don't have anything new to add today, but I could certainly answer any questions.
Any questions?
Nope, no questions for Don. Thanks, Don.
Thanks, Don.
All right, have a good day.
You too. County Administrator?
Madam Chair, members of the board, yesterday there was a senior management team meeting consistent with the theme of today's meeting. There was a discussion about cannabis and the legalization of cannabis, and implications that has for county employees. We have DOT safety-sensitive positions that are required by federal law to be subjected to random drug tests. The federal requirement prohibiting the use of cannabis among that class of employees is still in place. Also for safety-sensitive positions, so think law enforcement. No, we're still going to do pre-employment and random drug testing for safety-sensitive positions. So we're having to navigate through with this new legislation some of the implications that it's going to have on us as an employer. We also have had discussions about how that is going to have implications on us as a community. So also in front of you today is a draft of a proposal for an ordinance that would regulate the use of cannabis and cannabis-derived products in public places. This is closely modeled after an ordinance that Stearns County is currently considering. It would prohibit the use of cannabis in any public place or in any public place of public accommodation. Think about it. In my mind, this is a reasonable restriction on the rights of people to use cannabis products. It is not socially acceptable to walk down the sidewalk with a six-pack of beer and drink it as you're walking down the sidewalk. This would be similar to that. I think you also want to allow some room, like we did with the short-term rental ordinance, for more local control. And so this ordinance as drafted would exclude cities of the first class, that is Brainerd and Baxter. I think they are working on their own regulatory schemes. It would also not apply in any city or in any township in the county which decided to regulate the public consumption of cannabis. If they step into that field and decide to regulate it, then our ordinance would not apply. So I think of our ordinance as sort of a floor below which we shouldn't probably fall, but I do think you should allow for, I know the city of Breezy Point, for instance, is actively working on their own ordinance, and I think you should allow them to have that local control. I think these are reasonable restrictions on the rights of people that have been recently granted by the legislature to consume cannabis. I think this ordinance is more designed towards the people who would like to not be subjected to cannabis. In particular, the pungent smell of cannabis being smoked is a very noticeably pungent smell that is, not welcome by a lot of people who aren't going to partake in cannabis. And so, striking a reasonable balance, I would tell you that Minnesota is one of only 4 states out of the 23 that have adopted recreational use of marijuana that did not regulate the public consumption. And so they left that to local control. I think it would be better if it was regulated at the state level. It is not in Minnesota. And so I think you are hearing of many cities and counties that are putting in place these kinds of limits on public consumption. Madam Chair, I would put that forward for your consideration. If you are so inclined to want to consider that, then we would need to set a public hearing, publish a notice of intent to enact an ordinance, and move forward to taking public comments.
So, Madam Chair, so just to cite an example, so if Jimmy Johnson and his wife Helen and their 8 kids are down at South Long Lake Park and they're having a nice picnic and somebody's sitting there puffing away and blowing smoke their way, they don't need to put up with that kind of crap.
This would put a tool in law enforcement's toolbox. I don't suspect that they're going to do a sting patrol, looking for people in that public park, but if they get a complaint and they're going there, this ordinance would allow them to issue a citation, a misdemeanor citation, and a fine for that activity in violation of this ordinance in a public place. Yes.
And Madam Chair, and if we didn't have this, they could tell the sheriff's department to go fly a kite.
That is correct.
Yeah. Well, I'm in favor of pursuing this. I guess how would this play out, Tim? Would this be a public hearing? Because I guess I'd like to have the public weigh in on this, even though I know I've already got my mind made up that we do need something like this. But I think we need to have the public weigh in on this.
If you are inclined to pursue it, a public hearing would be scheduled for September 11th? 12th. It would be at your regular board meeting on September 12th. That's what I would propose. And so Madam Chair, in this particular instance, because it's an ordinance, I would ask for a motion to move it forward to a public hearing, if you are so inclined.
Madam Chair, I'll make the motion to move it forward to a
Second.
public hearing.
Motion by Commissioner Barrows, second by Commissioner Coring. Is there any more discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Madam Chair, our primary discussion at senior management team was about budget, and so we are in the budget cycle. Our first budget submittals are in. That is not where we're going to end up, and so we now begin the process of trying to true up the actuals for both the revenue side and the expense side. There's a natural tendency to underestimate revenues, overestimate expenses in that first submittal, so we look at actual experiences to see where we might be off on that budget. Then there'll be some pretty serious conversations about what new positions are being proposed and still living within our means. And so that process is feverishly going on right now and will be through the end of September. Usually by then, well, we have to set a preliminary levy by the end of September. You can't go up after that. You could go down, but you can't go up after that. Historically, we have gotten ourselves a long ways into the process by the time we're in September. There are not a lot of changes that occur after September. So between now and then, there will be a lot of activity focused on budgeting. Happy to answer questions about that or anything else related to county government. I do have one other item for your consideration. Madam Chair, also included in your packet is to set a public hearing for a road vacation in the unorganized territory that is Cataract Street. The application and the petition to vacate is in your packet. You also have staff comments from the Public Lands Department, from the Highway, and from the attorney staff. There are no strong objections to moving this forward from a staff perspective. The application is complete. And so we believe that this is ripe for you to schedule a public hearing. We would propose September 12th as that date as well. And we'll schedule those public hearings back to back.
What do you think, John? It's in your district.
Madam Chair, the lead petitioner is in the audience if you have any questions.
Oh, okay. Do you have anything you'd like to say?
If you have any questions, we can answer any questions that you have.
This is a road that
Well,
is. Yeah, this is a
Please
road.
state your name and address.
My name is Charles Vigilante, and our address is 4646 Crawford Street, Brainerd, Minnesota.
Thank you.
And Joe, well, we were working with Jim Kramer, who's the surveyor for the county, and he was the one that brought this to our attention. There's the part of Cataract Street that we're proposing to be vacated. There's nowhere for it to go. It's basically dead land between the properties on the north side of our property and all our neighbors along that side. And it's gonna extend the parameters for Sinsam Club, and all in all, I mean, it's just, the only other way for that to go would be out to 371, which there's no practical use of another road going out onto that highway. And with the way we have it adjusted is to be neighbor-friendly to our neighbor to the north, so it doesn't interrupt his driveway. That's still going to be his access to his property. So we propose that it gets cut off short on our end of it, so it's going to benefit our neighbors more than it's really going to benefit us. But that's kind of what we're trying to have done, because I don't see any practical use for that stretch of land. So why not open it up, clear that up, make it easier, more comprehensible for the county, you know, the assessors and surveyors out in that area. I know there's a lot of other roads that it's got similar issues, but this one, there's no, it's just gonna sit like vacant dead land without doing the vacate, so, and it'll benefit quite a few people.
Madam Chair, I don't have a question for the, what's your last name?
Vigilante.
I bet you that was an interesting name to grow up with.
Thank you.
It made me think of one of my favorite movies with Charles Bronson.
Yeah.
He's probably heard that.
But How does, for somebody, I don't know who I'm going to asking this to, but how is the process going to work on this? I'm assuming that every single one that's connected to that would get a letter sent to them, because I don't want anybody to come and say, I never knew anything about
No,
it.
we got signatures from everybody.
All the landlords, we own the first 5 plots there from ending in 860 to the 862. Those 5, that's what our property is.
Okay,
Everyone down the street to 868 there have signed the petition in favor of the petition.
okay. And so Tim, or Madam Chair, so Tim, all it would be is setting the public hearing, doing the public hearing, closing the public hearing, and then vacating the road.
There is a requirement for a notice to be provided to
Correct.
the adjacent landowners, and that is the applicant's responsibility.
Correct.
We do not do it, but we need proof that it is done.
Okay,
So when the public hearing is scheduled, that's what I'll be looking for, is proof that they were notified.
An affidavit
Correct.
of some sort.
Yep.
yep, we got that figured out. And, yeah, I mean, there's no negative impact to anybody in the area at all. There's just,
We didn't see one either from a
There's
staff
nothing.
perspective. This is basically a platted road that never got built.
correct, like 100 years
For the
ago.
last 100 years, it has not been.
So
Madam Chair, it looks pretty common sense to me, so.
Madam Chair, the petitioner will also be submitting a notice of public hearing to the newspaper
Correct.
and providing an affidavit of publication, and we have talked about it, so they're aware of all the things they
Everything
need
you have
to
to
do
do.
to move it forward.
So Madam Chair, all we need today then is to set the public hearing for this.
Right.
Madam Chair, I would so move to set the public hearing for September 12th.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Coring, second by Commissioner Barrows. Any other questions from anyone or discussion at all? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Madam Chair, that's all I have.
Okay. Motion to adjourn?
Madam Chair, I have one thing.
Okay.
I'd like to make the
What
motion
days
to
do we-
adjourn.
I would, Madam Chair, may I second that motion?
Motion to adjourn by Commissioner Barrows, second by Commissioner Lubke. All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. It's 9:43.